Hi, I'm Mary, and I'm going to present the topic of servant leadership. By the end of this presentation, you should have an understanding of the concept of servant leadership. Servant leaders put others first. Serving others is a noble state of being. I think we all enjoy going out to eat and relish the idea of someone serving us our meal, right? It feels good to be served. We feel acknowledged and validated. A servant leader feels the call to serve others. Robert Greenleaf believes it begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve, and to serve first. It is not just about the servant, but more importantly, how the servant makes others feel. This is Robert Greenleaf. Robert Greenleaf is credited with coining the phrase, the servant as leader. He was a businessman, teacher, author, and consultant. He promoted serving others as a strong leadership method. The servant leader shares power, puts the needs of others first, and helps people develop and perform as highly as possible. Caring for persons, the more able and the less able, serving each other, is a rock upon which a good society is built, as quoted from greenleaf.org. Please take a minute to really let this sink in. We must all serve. It is really our sole purpose. Can you picture what our society would look like if we put the needs of the poorest and the most vulnerable first and allowed them to be empowered and transformed? Robinson points out that servant leadership is an ancient concept. The obvious servant leader to most of us would be Jesus Christ. When we hear servant leader, we may picture Jesus washing the feet of mankind. However, service is central to other religions: Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. That being said, I just have to say it's not about religion at all. A servant leader serves others just to serve, because internally he or she knows it's the right thing to do. Service is not about appeasing or impressing a deity or earning an afterlife. We're all here on the planet in the here and now, and we are all here to help one another. Nursing also has its roots in servant leadership. Historically, nurses served the least privileged. Trezak et al. Reveal that this desire to serve others is at the heart of healthcare. The nurse serves her patients and community. Servant leadership will enable healthcare providers to create positive patient outcomes by promoting change in patient health behavior. The nurse-servant leader heals the hearts of all around. The diagrams depict different models. On the left is the traditional leader who rules over all from the top of the pyramid, much like a king, a Wall Street CEO, or a dictator. On the right, the servant leader model illustrates the servant leader at the bottom of the pyramid, serving others and serving the community, acting selflessly because it's not about the power, it is about empowerment. It is about investing in people and assisting them to be successful. Now, why does this all matter? And why is servant leadership so important to education, especially nursing education? Because a true servant leader is effective and inclusive. Greenleaf.org says we need to learn how to be together, that it is an essential work of the servant leader. The goal of servant leadership is, according to Robinson, is to create a more caring and just society. The idea is that students of a servant leader will be healthy, wise, independent, and empowered. The students themselves would become servants to others. A servant leader does much more listening than talking. These are some of the traits of the servant leader. They are powerful persuaders, using positive manipulation to bring out the best in others. They relate to others and have great empathy. They embrace diversity. They look at the big picture and try to get everyone around them to think community, think globally. They are extremely aware and present, not missing any detail. They feel an internal calling to serve. They never worry about receiving credit for their work. A servant leader is a great steward. They are responsible and protective. Most important, they get you to transform your thinking and grasp new concepts, new ideas, and critical thinking. Kate Mahan believes a servant leader believes in the best in others and does everything they can to help nursing students reach their full potential. It's about encouragement. I really like this quote. When someone else believes in you, it is one of the most powerful gifts to receive and inspires you to push limits to achieve great things. We have to invest in one another. A servant leader, nurse educator asks, "How did I serve my students today? What can I do to help?" And says, "I believe in you." The following 5 slides will sum up the state of being for a servant leader, nurse educator, according to Mahan. First of all, let's break it down. Be authentic. You have to be real, relatable, consistent, trustworthy, and above all, honest. Speak well of others. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to admit failure and mistakes and admit that you don't have all the answers. You have to take risks with trying new things. Be fearless. Servant leaders are all about student-centered learning. Be accepting. You thrive on being inclusive and embracing diversity. You must be able to accept opposing views gracefully. Be present. You have to keep a watchful eye and be very present at all times. You will know which student may be struggling or needing extra encouragement, or which student may not be accepted by other students. They all need your help. Be centered and calm in a crisis. Reflect and share when things don't go well. Be useful. Always be a resource. Your standard line should be, "What can I do to help?" Get down and dirty with the work at hand. There are disadvantages to the servant leadership method. Waterman warns of humility and kindness being perceived as weakness. Also, some people may not respond to this leadership approach. Here are some examples of very famous servant leaders. Certainly we all know Martin Luther King, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Nelson Mandela. It is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory, when nice things occur. You take the front line when there's danger, then people will appreciate your leadership. It is very important to encourage new learning pathways for our nursing students, and that includes all of us as future educators. If we are not servant leaders already, we can learn to become one by knowing the leadership style and traits. In closing, please reflect on some famous quotes from servant leaders. You can click on the music button and listen to Bob Dylan singing "You Gotta Serve Somebody."
You may like to gamble, you might like to dance, you may be the heavyweight champion
Those who are
of the
happiest
world.
are those who do
You
the most
may
work.
be a socialite with a long string of pearls.